ladies and gentlemen? It is Kevin Jackwitz with the Caged Review. I'm going to review SmackDown, and this is for March 20th, 2018. SmackDown has been really lagging lately, and they have not been keeping up with Raw as far as storyline, character development, building up towards WrestleMania. They've just been failing on every mark, especially when you compare it to Raw, because Raw has actually been pretty damn good lately. I have to say, being such a fan of the early wrestling, even from before the Attitude Era, but especially the Attitude Era, God, WWE is just falling off the map. There was a good decade there where everything was just so far downhill. And I think maybe like 2011 to 2014 or 15, like, it was really bad. It was to a point where I was like really debating on even watching wrestling anymore, and I've been a fan since WrestleMania 3 back in 1980 nothing. So for me to even contemplate, like, you know, not caring about wrestling enough to not watch it anymore says how far downhill the product's got. But the last couple of years, I really think it's had a rebound. And I think it's had a rebound because they're breaking away from really bad habits. And I think in the last couple of months, it's really exemplified what I'm talking about. I know every time they get close to WrestleMania season, you know, things are supposed to get bigger and better. But really, they haven't in the last few years. Building up towards WrestleMania has been a joke. But they're doing a good job this year. Like, they really are. They're keeping good storylines. They're good character development. They're setting up things for the, like, pay-per-views just before WrestleMania. Like, everything is solid. So I like that. There have been a few things here that have just been kind of thrown together, but, you know, it's a big improvement from what it's been lately. Having said all of that, this SmackDown was a lot better for a number of reasons. Not the least of which is probably one of the biggest changes in wrestling in the last few years that I can remember, is the fact that Daniel Bryan has finally been cleared for in-ring competition again. That's a big one. That's a huge one, actually. Because quite frankly, nobody in today's market gets a bigger pop than Daniel Bryan. He gets Attitude Era worthy pops. He really does. That guy comes out and the crowd goes nuts. And rightfully so. So I really think they need that, like, actual WWE wrestler superstar power. Because honestly, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, I think nobody really gives a shit about. We know Reigns is going to go over Lesnar, so there's not going to be too much of a surprise there. And I'm pretty sure that most of fans don't think Reigns is ready for that top spot. He's been fed the main event 4 years running, and 4 years running has been booed out of the building. And Vince McMahon, once again, coming towards WrestleMania, is trying to push Reigns and trying to get everybody to like him. Like, he's already a face. We know he's a face. But do we really care? And I'm not even really hard on the guy like a lot of people are. I've always said I think he's never had a match that I didn't enjoy. He is getting a lot better on the mic. Now, I'm going to be honest, as a top guy, he needs to do a promo. He needs to learn how to do a good promo. And he's gotten better, but when you're as bad as he was, getting better doesn't always say much. He's never going to be in the leagues of the CM Punks, the Dwayne Johnsons, the fucking John Cenas. All of these guys who are magic on a microphone. This guy can't tie their shoelaces. So I think the fans really react when they're getting pushed like that. And that's why it's so important that a guy like Daniel Bryan is coming back. Because now it's like, okay, Bryan really brings that power with him. Like, he can talk, he's himself. It's a different type of promo for Daniel Bryan. He's just himself. But it works. He gets over with it. His in-ring work is amazing, to say the least, and we'll get into that a little bit later on in this review. So, SmackDown opens up with Daniel Bryan comes out to the ring. They used a promo package where they're showing, it was like 26 months ago almost, where Daniel Bryan said he had to retire from in-ring competition. Big emotional scene. Everybody was upset that Bryan was leaving. So they come out with this package. They show that. Then they say Daniel Bryan has finally been cleared for competition. And then he comes out. And, dude, okay, first of all, it was a standing ovation. The ring announcers, the crowd, everybody in the crowd was standing. Just a huge pop. And Daniel Bryan has this effect on a crowd where it's like, it's not just one huge pop, it's like 3 or 4 huge pops no matter what he does. And so it was really cool to see that. He comes out, he was talking about, you know, how it was really hard for him when he had to retire, and he tried to focus on being grateful, and how Brie was telling him, yeah, be grateful, but fight for what you want. And how he had to go around to a bunch of different, you know, neurologists and concussion specialists and things like that. And he finally got cleared by all of them. So WWE had to let him come back. So that's awesome. Great, great, great opening. Just because you finally have like one of the biggest names in WWE in the last decade back in the ring, which is great. So you cut to commercial, you come back, you see Daniel Bryan walk in, Dolph Ziggler comes up to him, says, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. I can't wait to be the first person to beat you. Bryan says, you're more than welcome to try. Just a really short, you know, promo. Letting the heel get a little bit of heat on him. And you go from that to Rusev versus Shinsuke Nakamura. AJ Styles is at ringside. Decent match. Shinsuke is always entertaining. Rusev is just over as fuck right now. And it sucks because Rusev is over and they just keep feeding him to people. Like, he just keeps losing. I don't get that, but whatever. So AJ's on commentary. They're going back and forth with the match. It's decent. Some good spots with it. At the end, Shinsuke hits the Kinshasa, pins Rusev. Aiden English comes in from outside, starts jumping Nakamura. AJ Styles looks like he's going to help Nakamura out. He stands up. He takes off his commentary headphones, takes off his jacket, but kind of slow. And he gives Nakamura enough time to go ahead and take care of Aiden English and Rusev himself. And then it's kind of like Nakamura standing in the ring looking at AJ Styles saying, I don't really need you to help me out. So that was kind of a cool bit. It shows they're friendly, but there's tension because they have their WrestleMania match coming up. And they've been building on that. They've been building they're friends, but it's still WrestleMania and it's still for the WWE Championship. So, you know, not much different from anything we haven't seen before. Kind of a cool setup though, you know, still sticking with the storyline, still building towards WrestleMania. So that was cool. After that, you get a promo that talks about the match with Asuka and Charlotte. Just a promo package, kind of decent. The WWE is always good with their promo packages. But I have said, I do think that when you're this close to WrestleMania, it would be better to do away with these promo packages and have the wrestlers come out to the ring and actually talk or fight or do something to build up their character, to build up the storyline, you know, to build up the anticipation for the match itself. That's the only thing I don't like about promo packages, is I think it takes away from time. People could actually be in the ring doing something. That's my thoughts on that. So right after that promo package, though, you actually do get Charlotte in the back. She gets confronted by Natalya, who says, we all know that you're afraid of Asuka. We all know that you're going to get beat at WrestleMania. Natty says she's better than both of them, that she could beat Asuka's streak and whatever. So Charlotte says, well, you don't have a match with me at WrestleMania, but you can face me tonight. So clearly that leads into Charlotte versus Natty later on in the show. after that, real quick segment with Nakamura and AJ Styles, where Nakamura says, we're helping each other out, but at WrestleMania, it's still going to be need a face. So, just like I said, short thing. And I keep repeating that my biggest fear with Nakamura is getting over with the American crowd having such a thick accent and not really speaking the language very well. And, it's something I really hate to say because that really shouldn't be the biggest deal, but with the way WWE is structured, you have to be able to cut a promo and relate to the audience. And, people like even Rusev, Nakamura, Asuka, their way of relating to the crowd is their in-ring performance, and that's really all they have to work with. So, kudos for them for getting over like they are, but, you have to wonder how long lasting is that going to be. So, those are my thoughts there. We go from that to kind of a who gives a shit match between Baron Corbin and Ty Dillinger. Ty Dillinger hasn't done anything in a while. You've barely seen him on the show at all, which I think sucks because I think he's a lot better than that. Baron Corbin, I have been very vocal about thinking he's not really the best in the ring. And I will say, being objective, I was watching the match and trying to pay attention to how he was doing it. And this week wasn't bad. And now it wasn't anything special. There was no special spots. There was no really big moves. Except there was one hit where I don't know if Baron Corbin was getting frustrated or what, because Ty Dillinger just kept coming at him. And it looked like Baron was trying to get the upper hand, to switch the tide. And Ty just wasn't letting him. And finally, Baron Corbin just hit him really hard. You could tell. As a matter of fact, Ty tries to get back up and he's so dizzy and unfocused, he just drops back to the mat. It looked like a real hell of a real hit there. So that was kind of a cool spot there. There was actually one spot where there was a big miscue kind of toward the end where it looked like Baron Corbin was flipping around Ty Dillinger to do End of Days. And I don't know if it was Baron Corbin or Ty Dillinger that screwed up. But at any rate, it looked like he just went limp and he wasn't... Ty Dillinger went limp. And they just didn't pull the move off right. Like, they didn't finish the move at all. And Baron Corbin, you could tell he didn't know what to do next. So he just grabs him and throws him out of the ring through the ropes, which actually made it look worse. There were a couple of things that Corbin could have done to kind of save the moment, like maybe grabbing him and going into a DDT or something. But then again, that goes to the fact that I don't think Corbin is very good in the ring. He can't think on his feet that well. So overall, not a bad match. They did have that big miscue at the end. But at the end of the day, I don't know that this match held any weight for anything. It was just a filler. And I will say that this close to WrestleMania, there should be no filler spots. There really should not be any filler spots that nobody really is invested in. And that's exactly what this was, and I think that hurts SmackDown. It's one of the things that they've been dealing with lately that I don't know why, because SmackDown used to be the better show, and now it's just like they have fallen off the map with this. So after Corbin and Ty Dillinger, you get Charlotte Flair versus Natalya. This match was really good. Both Natalya and Charlotte are very good technical wrestlers. I mean, they both come from, basically wrestling royalty. You got Ric Flair and, Natty from the Hart Dungeon. So these girls can always put on a good show no matter what. And they did. They did a lot of really good mat technical wrestling, which I haven't seen a lot of the female wrestlers do a lot of. They were doing up a lot of switches, a lot of, holds that you just don't see from the women's division too much. And I really respect that. I've always said that I think Natty is one of the best technical wrestlers we have. And Charlotte has really shown me to be upper echelon as far as technical wrestlers in the female division. So really good spots throughout, really good match all the way. And the biggest spot was actually when Carmella's music hits. She comes out because Charlotte just got hit with a power bomb. Natty went to cover, and out comes Carmella like she's gonna cash in, and it basically goes. She kind of taps Charlotte with her foot. Charlotte's not moving much, so Carmella goes to hand the briefcase in. As soon as Carmella turns around before the bell rings for the triple threat, Charlotte kicks Carmella in the face. And that ends that. But while Charlotte's distracted, Natty rolls her up, gets the win. I was really surprised for a couple of reasons. A, I've said how much I don't like Carmella. A lot of people do, and that's fine. That's your thing, whatever. Her matches lately have been awful. Absolutely horrendous. That match with her and Naomi, like last week or the week before, I think it was last week, it was literally 10 minutes of hair pulling. That was it. That is not a wrestling match to me. She is the epitome of the Divas division. She can talk good. She can cut a decent promo. She's cute for some people, I guess. And that's why she's there, because she is not a wrestler at all. Like, I'm sorry, she's just not. And she does nothing that I actually want to see a woman wrestler do. The slapping, the hair pulling, all that crap, the high-pitched screaming, it's not wrestling, it's not even entertainment. There's nothing entertaining about it to me. So, I really wish that they would get away from Carmella with this damn briefcase scenario. I think that she is probably the most overused women wrestler they have on the roster. And it's the fact that she's gone over Becky Lynch, she's gone over Naomi, and now they're trying to make it to where like she's somehow in any kind of league with Charlotte and Natty. Like, give me a break. No, absolutely not. So that's the first thing, and as you can tell, I'm very passionate about that because you have incredibly talented women in the ring right now, and you bring this goof out. That was the first thing I didn't like about it. The next thing I didn't like about it was, as much as I love Natty, and I do love Natalya, she's great in the ring, very physical specimen. I don't think you should put her over Charlotte, even if it's a tainted victory, because Charlotte has to look absolutely beast going into WrestleMania against Asuka. Asuka's undefeated. Asuka is clearly going to be the front runner to win this. I don't understand why you would make Charlotte lose this close to WrestleMania in this kind of match. I think that's terrible booking. I really do. I just simply think that for storyline purposes, you want Charlotte to look as tough as she possibly can walking into WrestleMania. I don't think this match did that. So, a couple of things I didn't like about that match. Clearly. So after that, Jinder Mahal, he comes out. Oh wait, no, just before Jinder Mahal, you have Jimmy Uso comes out, and he actually has a match against Luke Harper. The Usos, before the match start, cut a promo, and the Usos, they're really good on the mic. Like, they really are, and this promo was no exception. They were talking about how the Bludgeon Brothers come in, they're wrecking shop, but they hurt somebody, but they didn't get the job done. They're, really selling their Uso Penitentiary gimmick. Really good promo to start out. And then, of course, Harper comes down, really good match. Usos are always going to have a good match no matter what. And Harper is really good. That guy, for his size, can really move. He is impressive. He is damn impressive, honestly. So yeah, I mean, it was a decent match. They let Harper win, which is exactly what I think they need to do because they are building up these guys to be the next monsters. And I think they're setting up some kind of tag match at WrestleMania where it's maybe the Usos, New Day, and the Bludgeon Brothers, which I think would be very, very hellaciously entertaining, honestly. Any match I've ever seen with the Usos versus the New Day has been spectacular. And now you add Harper and Rowan, I think it would be great. I think that has all the makings of an instant classic. I really do. So I really hope that that's where they're going for this. The only problem is that WrestleMania this year is getting very bloated. They've got a lot of matches and a lot of potential matches now that they still have to work out. So, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do with this. So, after that, Jinder Mahal comes out. He does a short promo. He really can't carry a promo, so thank God it was short. Gets interrupted by Rude, who says he's going to win the triple threat, get his championship back. Then comes Orton. And of course, he's saying the same thing. It really amounts to nothing. Just trying to build up the triple threat, but, kind of your basic, we're all going to win. But you do get the announcement, either before or after the commercial, that next week it's going to be Randy Orton and Bobby Roode versus Jinder Mahal and Sunil Singh. So, that'll be interesting. After that, you get a decent ladies tag match. Naomi and Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan from the Riot Squad. Naomi, Becky, they're always going to have a good match. And I honestly haven't seen a lot of Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan. So I don't really know that I have as much of an opinion as maybe I should for them. But they did fine during this. It was actually, Sarah Logan had this one spot where she ran across the ring, she looked right at Naomi, said something, and then came back, and Becky Lynch is on the ground, and she just hit Becky with a knee that just looked brutal. That was good. But Naomi and Becky Lynch, at the end of the day, take the win. Lynch catches Sarah Logan in the disarmer. Naomi hit Liv Morgan coming in. They get the win. So that was cool. Backstage, after the match, you see Daniel Bryan. Some dude comes out, nameless face, whatever, and says that Owens and Zayn have just showed up. So that brings us to the end of the show where you have Daniel Bryan bringing out Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Owens and Zayn are playing the part like Daniel Bryan's their friend, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's on the same page. Daniel Bryan's like, you guys don't understand the severity of what you did. You attacked your boss. This is still a business. Now I have to do my job. He fires both of them, tries to be nice about it, shakes both their hands. And of course, Kevin Owens comes back, hits Daniel Bryan. And the attack is on. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens attacking Daniel Bryan. And instantly, I'm pretty sure that, I myself didn't know what was happening, obviously, or what was going to happen. And I'm sure the crowd didn't expect Daniel Bryan to just start going off on both of them. But he flips Sami Zayn, starts beating him. Kevin Owens tries to grab Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan runs Kevin Owens into the corner and starts doing the yes kicks. And the crowd just went ballistic. Like I said, any time you get Daniel Bryan in a ring, that place is going to go crazy. And this was no exception. So the crowd just pops. You could hear the yes chants just roaring throughout the stadium. He's, running back and forth, doing his flying kicks into the corner on both Zayn and Owens. And it looked like maybe he was going to get away with it, but of course the numbers game. He was going to run a big kick on Kevin Owens while he was down on his knees in the ring. Sami Zayn finally gets the better of him, and then the beatdown commences. Bryan takes a haluva kick in the corner. He takes a pop-up powerbomb, then they throw him outside of the ring, and then Kevin Owens hits Daniel Bryan with the powerbomb to the ring apron. And here's the thing about this that makes Daniel Bryan such a badass. This guy has been out of action for 26 months almost. His first day back in the ring, he takes a powerbomb on the apron, which is a nasty bump to take because it is an extremely hard part of the ring and it's very hard to land it very well. So you got to give the guy just all the credit in the world for being willing to go out there day one and say, you know what, I can still take these big bumps and I can still be this workhorse. And God, there were a couple of parts in this where I really marked out myself. Like, I've always been a huge Daniel Bryan fan. WrestleMania 30 was magic. I don't care what anybody says. And it was largely due to Daniel Bryan's work. So, when he gave that snap suplex to Sami Zayn, like, it was just a thing of beauty. The yes kicks, of course, like, as soon as he started going off, I marked out. But then I marked out, honestly, just as hard because Daniel Bryan, takes this hellacious bump. And I forget what the crowd was chanting, but they were cheering for Daniel Bryan so hard after that. Just such a sign of respect for what this guy does for the business. So, man, that alone makes this show one of the most important SmackDowns in recent history. I mean, and I'm talking in the last few years, I think. Just absolutely set a new tone for the show, which is really exciting. So it looks like WWE now, I would imagine, are leading towards Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan teaming up against Owens and Zayn. And I don't see how that couldn't be a great match, because all four guys are great performers in the ring. They haven't made any announcement as far as match like that goes. And it's funny because Kevin Owens has actually gone back to Kevin Steen on his Twitter page and taken everything WWE off his Twitter page. And they're really selling it, which is really funny. It's such a good job from everybody involved. So I can only hope that that's what they're doing. Owens and Zayn versus Bryan and McMahon at WrestleMania. I think that would be a great matchup. So, overall, I mean, the show definitely had a couple of weak points. I mean, I didn't really... The match with Charlotte and Natalya was great. I just didn't like the Carmella bit at the end. And I didn't like that they put Natty over. But, I mean, it was still a really good match. I don't get to make the booking decisions. So, I got to deal with what we're given. But, I think the weakest part was probably the Mahal Rude Orton bit. Maybe. Just because it was your basic, everybody's going to win the triple threat, blah, blah, blah. Not much of a setup there. So I would have to give this show, I mean, because it's Daniel Bryan coming back, and he actually got in the ring and started, some in-ring work. 8, maybe 9. It was just an important show. It really was. Like I said, it set a new tone. And when you get that kind of crowd response from anybody, you're doing the right thing. I mean, so I think I'm going to stick with a 9 out of 10 on this one. Just because it was a solid show. They did a lot of good work. But they really did everything right, bringing Daniel Bryan in, setting up the fact that, now he's going to be pitted up against Owens and Zayn. I think that's a dream match, honestly. So, very excited for that. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you've seen the show, let me know what you think in the comments. Especially let me know what you think about the return of Daniel Bryan. and possibly his WrestleMania match being a tag match with McMahon against Owens and Zayn, I think that has a hell of a lot of potential. I really do. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kevin Jackowitz. This is the Cage Review. Cage Nation out.